Indubitably.
Oh, that's such a good word.
What's up, guys? So, I'm here today with a couple of fellow ALTs. Some I deem or all.
Speak on why you shouting.
I deem to call them friends, but I'm not sure sometimes.
Hey.
I'm a bit uncertain sometimes. But the purpose of this video today is that I wanted to have, it's not a round table, but I want to have a round table type of discussion. Asking some questions to fellow LTs just so that you guys don't only hear my opinion or thoughts about the program and living in Japan all the time. I thought it could be good to hear the opinions of a couple other LTs. So we have here starting from the far end side, 5th year, Karl, finishing up in a week. Jeez.
Yeah, last week at school.
Sad life. Then next we have Pippa, who went through a whole 2 years on the program. She's going back as well, sadly. And then there's a great Will, gone through 3 years. And I'm gone through 3 years. And he's going to continue for another year on the program, right? So guys, we're all feeling good.
How about you, man?
They know me. I'm
4th year mark.
Yes, sadly. I've been here too
Jet
long.
program
Who's gonna
legends.
be a unicorn?
Pretty much.
Unicorn mark.
Sign the papers.
Yeah.
Can we just get some applause for that?
So first thing I want to ask is, and this goes back a bit far, especially for Karl, who's been here 5 years. If you can remember, what kind of thoughts or feelings did you have when you were accepted to JET and you arrived in Japan?
A lot.
All right, let's start from Will.
Yeah.
I think for me it was mostly just sort of excitement and curiosity. I don't really get worried by a lot of stuff. So it wasn't a particularly stressful thing. It was just kind of interesting. I guess I'd been like job hunting for a while, so I was quite glad just to have something to do with my daytime.
Okay, that's
So-
great. That's cool. What about you, people?
I was excited because I came to Japan for a short time in high school for like a 10-day exchange. And since then I'd wanted to come back to Japan and just like experience more of it. But then when I got here, I was like, oh gosh, what am I doing? I don't understand anything and I don't know how to teach. But it was fun.
Well, you survived.
We got there in the end.
Karl.
Yeah, I think it was like same thing as Will, like excitement, but also like anxiety. I didn't speak the language. I've never lived abroad before. I've only visited, and I was just kind of nervous about how things would work out.
Okay.
But yeah, 5 years later, so.
5 years later. Next thing I want to ask, and this gets a little more difficult, / insightful, whatever. Were there any specific goals you had for yourself when you came here, or were there any goals that you kind of developed as time went on? Let's start from Pippa.
Great. I wanted to travel a bit of Japan, which I've done, and I wanted to go to Korea, which I've also done. And the biggest goal was probably to get JLPT in 3,
Okay.
which I've set the exam for. I haven't got the result yet, but we'll see.
Okay. So you had the goals, achievable.
Yeah.
Karl.
Yeah, that quote about like life happens when you make plans. That how does that work again?
He's so deep.
Yeah, that enough said. That.
Yeah. Okay, well, he beats mine.
Now just lives freely.
Apparently.
Will.
I think I turned up expecting to do 2 years, and get a bit good at the language and then sort of reconsider stuff. But that's obviously not happened.
You're great at the language.
No, we're setting very good examples for Jeff.
You are.
Well, because I've realised that actually if I stayed a bit longer I could get better at the language, and then that can actually become a platform for further employment. So my kind of goal definitely shifted there. I guess maybe what the answer you're looking for here is it's quite easy for plans to kind of evolve once you get out here, I guess. And a certain amount of leeway within that is quite handy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, goals are useful.
But it's good to be flexible and be able to adapt and like willing to like extend or change certain things based on what's happening. 'Cause
Yeah.
I also planned to come here for 2 years.
I planned to stay here for 2 years, and I'm leaving after 2 years, so it's
perfect.
possible.
Get
to
you!
It's possible to stick with your goals.
You can stick to rules, yes.
So you can be a Pippa or be everybody else.
But to be honest, if you have clear goals, I'd say start early.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, don't procrastinate.
I think that's particularly true with travel as well. If there's places you want to go, like, just start as soon as you can, really, because things go by quite quickly.
Yeah, and distractions come along.
Yeah.
Next one.
Okay.
Big question. Kind of open-ended, but try to just summarize it as best as you can. Maintaining your own culture versus adapting to Japanese culture. Soak that in for a little bit. And then I'm going to start from Karl in 5, 4, 3,
We're expecting big
2,
things. Philosophical
1.
things.
Those.
You like Kanye, yo. That's like that. That countdown on the spot. I'd say people expect you to represent your culture when you're out there. Part of the job is being a cultural ambassador. And part of what makes it interesting is that you're not Japanese. So you're like a, God have mercy, Taki, but you're literally a window to the rest of the world. And Japan definitely suffers from a lack of exposure. So don't conform too much. Like, definitely learn some of the language. Definitely learn just like basal social courtesies, or like learn how to go with the vibe, or to not like accidentally offend people or accidentally disrupt things too much. But don't compromise like your own personality or things that you're good at or things that interest you because of you like real or imaginary pressure.
Okay. Will.
Yeah, so exactly like Karl said, there is a certain expectation for you to represent what your country is, whatever that may be. And that can be quite odd,
Yeah.
I think. Like when you have to parade around and go, hey, I'm from the UK. Do you know what that means, children? And I'm kind of, I don't really know what that entails myself. Which is, it's quite strange.
I guess I haven't had too many issues with that because New Zealand is like a pretty relaxed country anyway, so you can kind of like just slip into situations and it's not too offensive.
Right.
You can be like, yes, this is Pavlova, this is a Kiwi, this is New Zealand, yay.
Right. I get you. That makes sense. I mean, the reason I ask is because I know we've had instances where like some people would be like, you know, this is my culture, and they maybe look at it and be like, everybody needs to accept this, but for certain other people it might not be so cool or whatever. And then some people might come here and they might not be so much willing to adapt to certain things in Japanese culture, while I would say that you don't need to adapt to everything and change everything about yourself. It's still good to know certain like mannerisms, and it would be good to like adapt to those things just to like make your time here easier and like get along with everybody in the community and stuff.
But I think with that that's a thing that will apply to any kind of international situation anywhere in the world.
No, yeah.
There will be people from different cultures, and I think what helps a lot with that is actually approaching your own culture, I guess, with a sense of humility. Like rather than turning up and doing the flag waving nationalist thing and this we're obviously better. That can annoy people.
How seriously should you take your role here? And I say role, I say role, officially we are assistant language teachers. Some people take it a bit further and we're cultural ambassadors and we're supposed to like...
Let's be honest, that's actually in the contract.
That's, like definitely.
You're officially a cultural ambassador.
We're officially that.
And we do cultural events, including international events.
That is in the contract, definitely.
So the first event to do
Let him get the question out.
The reason I say that though is because you'll still hear various things from different people. Like I'm here as an assistant language teacher and that's it. Like I'm not supposed to do anything else. Other people be like, I'm here to share my culture. I don't really care about anything else. So that is one reason I'm asking, how seriously should you take your role?
And you also have people that are
And-
like trying to take over the classes too.
Yeah, there you go. So, Will, let's start from you.
I think with a lot of that, it will depend on your personality, really. There are some people who will come into this who are wanting to be teachers, and so they will go 100% into the teaching bit, yet when it comes to the more kind of cultural stuff, they might be less engaged with it. And vice versa, there'll be people who are here because they want to experience culture, they're interested in culture, and then the English teaching is a side effect. So, yeah, how you approach that is pretty much down to what you're interested in, and I think there is a certain amount of flexibility within that, depending on what position you get put in at school and that kind of thing. But
Okay. Let's hear. People?
For me personally, I kind of just like slip into the role and do whatever the teachers ask me to do. I don't have any particular aspirations of like, I have to show them all parts of my culture, or I have to take over the classes, or like I have to seriously teach everything. I kind of like just slip into whatever I'm asked to do, and if they're like, oh, share your culture, I'm like, okay, cool. Here's a presentation about it, or something. Just kind of like go with the flow.
Go with the flow. Karl?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing that people said, except I think the teachers expect support even when they don't ask for it, or it's just not in the way they usually work to ask for support. So I kind of like make an extra effort to like be a little bit more aware of what the teachers or students might like benefit from. I like just do it anyway. Just like be more like proactive. Because in Japan, part of the culture is that you need to take initiative. People aren't going to ask you a lot of the times, and they're not going to vocalize even if they think you're not doing a good job. So it's kind of strange. And it's hard, like when you finally get to know them, I think like all of our teachers in about third year, it's just like, oh yeah, when you just came here, you were not a good teacher. And you're so much better now. And you had a monotone, and you couldn't use your voice, and yeah, you were too serious. And yeah, but you're so much better now.
That's right.
Thanks. I'm like, oh,
That's interesting. But yeah, like I guess, like one big thing is like some people, when you just come here, lots of people they don't know what their role is, and a lot of it will depend on the type of school they're at, the teachers that they're matched with, and stuff like that. Like for people, she'll say that she kind of slips into what role she wants. They require offer, and like for example, her elementary school is a test school, so it's a lot more serious format than like our elementary schools, for example.
Yeah.
Where like I have to take like more charge. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And have those discussions going rather than a teacher tell me, okay, I need you to do this for me and stuff like that.
Well, we have like a dedicated English teacher. So we turn up
Right.
on the morning and he gives us the plan. You're like, okay, I don't have much freedom.
Yeah, I
to
don't
teach.
got that. Dedicated English teacher.
I do that the other way around. I turn up and go, here's the plan.
I do that. That's the thing. Kind of a follow-up from the previous question. So I don't think any of us here has a formal teaching background. No? You have a formal teaching background? In English?
It's taken us 5 years to find this out.
Damn!
Well, he asked.
Teaching
Man has a
English.
point. Man has a point. Okay.
Oh, no
But
way.
despite that, so I'll maybe ask you a slightly different question.
No, man, just fill out the question.
I'll ask you a slightly different
Same
one.
question.
But for
That sounds fine.
Will and Pippo, did you find it difficult to adjust to this teaching job? I'll start from Pippo.
Oh, man. Well, again, I didn't really have much of a lead role for anything, so I kind of just had to slip in and do as the teachers asked, because they all had the plans because of the seriousness of the test school.
But it wasn't like, was it difficult for you to like because I assume a lot of it, like some of the, like especially when you just came here and everything was like brand new and stuff, right? Was it difficult for you to like kind of figure out that you just need to just slip in and just do what they tell you to do and stuff like that, or did you have a time where you felt like you needed to do things yourself and like plan stuff?
It was pretty easy to just kind of like slip into it for me. The hardest part was just the language, because at the elementary school the teachers weren't fluent in English, obviously. Sometimes they only had very little bit. So trying to work out what needed to be taught in what order at first was very difficult until I got enough of the language to be able to fluidly be able to do it, get in their routines.
That makes sense.
Because that's the main thing. Every teacher has like a different teaching style.
That's important.
So it took me a little while to realize I had to adjust to the different teachers too. And you couldn't just go one class to the other doing the same thing.
Most
So,
Will.
Yeah, no, Pip was bang on with that. And actually, I think one thing when you come in here is they don't really expect you to learn how to teach.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
seem to be quite aware of the fact that most of us don't have any background in it at all. And so, I mean, my experience anyway was everyone was always very helpful and supportive and would kind of, hold your hand through it for the first couple of months at least until you had enough of a clue about what was going on around you.
Yeah, definitely. I don't get treated now like I used to get treated. Nobody holds my hand anymore.
Yeah.
I miss those days.
I'm quite, I probably wouldn't be here if it had carried on too long.
All right, Karl, the man with teaching background. How different has it been for you?
Not that much different, to be honest. I think the same thing at Pip and Wilson. Like, you have to adjust to the teachers, and they don't expect you to be able to, like, just fall in and start, like, performing amazing. And the classroom environment is really different from what I'm used to. So,
Right.
the kids are a lot more friendly. And to be honest, like, like, one of the biggest parts of your job is being friendly and approachable.
Definitely. What has been the most challenging and rewarding part of this job for you? Let's start from our lovely unicorn at the end, Karl.
I don't think anybody's ever called me lovely before. Yo, bless up for the compliments.
You are lovely.
To be honest, the most challenging part of the job,
And rewarding.
and this is a personal thing, I don't think it's the same thing for most LTs, was dealing with other LTs. Like dealing with other LTs and dealing with the larger organization of LTs itself. It can be really frustrating and hard to find a way to resolve things positively. The most rewarding part of the job is just being in a different culture altogether and seeing like a completely different point of view on life. So even though a lot of things look similar on the surface, they're really not. And the thinking behind this is different, and the approach is different, and energy is different. And the kids are like, they're kids, they're normal kids. They're not like regular, they just act like normal children, but they're so like energizing to be around. And they're so like enthusiastic and open-minded and unpredictable. So I'd say, worst part of the job, unfortunately, the other jets. Best part of the job, students.
Emphasizes.
Students.
Alright, Will.
I mean, we're probably all going to end up repeating the same thing in that the students will make this great, and it's amazingly rewarding. That we all have them. You know the one kid in that one class who you just see the stars in their eyes and stuff. They're like, wow, and they just like it, and that's really, really cool. Personally as well, the language thing has been really, really rewarding. It's really interesting going on a kind of year-long cycle and having things repeat, because the first time you go into sports day not being able to communicate with anyone, then 12 months later you're going through exactly the same process, nothing really changes, only your understanding of it has improved, and that's a really interesting kind of way of gauging your progress, and that's quite pleasing. Most challenging thing, oof.
Alright. Thought time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that one.
Okay, I'll start with challenge.
Okay.
Actually, so I'm kind of more of an introverted person. So a big challenge for me, like I do enjoy being around people, but teaching like 100, 150 kids a day and having to interact with all the teachers and stuff, it's fun, but it really is tiring.
Yep.
And I've never had really a job where I get to the end of the day and I'm just like exhausted from all of the energy of
It's like basically
interacting.
giving energy to everybody to interact with.
Basically, yeah. And that
Take
took
my energy.
that took a little while to get used to, especially at elementary school, because you're like, I'm gonna give them all my energy. I'm just gonna be bouncy and happy, and I'll play with them and all of that stuff. But then you don't like set a standard where you just have to give out all your energy all the time.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to learn that pretty early on, that you've got to like set your standards of what you're comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah, that was a challenge, but we got there. We got there.
We got there. Survived them 2 years.
Yes. Yes.
Rewarding.
Rewarding. Probably, again, what Will said about the language, you can see we're developing throughout the year compared to that. Because there's stuff that I can, like signs that I couldn't read when I first got here, so I never tried reading it. And then at school, I'll just be like, looking at someone and be like, I can read that entire sign. Wonder how long I've been able to do that for. Because you just see it and all just comes noise and you don't bother trying to anymore.
Right. No, I get it.
That's pretty amusing.
It's like opening a whole new world.
And you're like, oh, I'm not meant to do that. Okay. Huh.
Definitely had some of those moments. So it's like, you've been actually doing that this whole time. I've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Have you thought of?
I have.
All right.
So
Lay it on us.
I think, especially at first, one of the challenges is not necessarily being able to be your normal independent self that you are at home. Like when you get here, if you want to go to the post office, at home that's, you just wander in, it takes 10 minutes and you're out again.
Yeah.
Here it's an hour-long marathon of dictionaries and charades and
Figuring out what's going
all
on.
kinds of insanity. And that sometimes it can be quite fun, but sometimes if you just want to get some stuff done, it's pretty annoying. So yeah, just sort of helplessness.
Right.
I think it's not necessarily not being able to do things, because that's kind of to be expected. It's just sometimes that sort of helplessness becomes a bit annoying, and you kind of have to battle it a bit.
Sure. That makes
It's
sense.
pretty funny though, sorry, I just have to add this. When you're in the countryside and there aren't many foreigners and you do go to somewhere like the post office and the person's not really looking and calls your number, and then they look up and see a big foreigner in front of them and go, oh no. And you're like, trust me, I'm not confident about this either. Let's just do our best.
Do you think you have been true to yourself throughout this experience?
Oh.
And in saying that, do you feel like this experience has changed you, has caused you to change in certain ways that you don't like? Let us start from great man, Will.
I mean, I think no doubt I have changed through this experience.
Right.
I think a lot of that has been just sort of growing up generally as a human, because it was necessary.
Eternal man child.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's changed me in any ways that I wouldn't necessarily be that I'm unhappy about. I think it's very hard to call, because over 3 years a lot will change within you as a human. And would it have been any different if I was in another country? I don't know.
Maybe.
I've definitely learned a lot of stuff, but again, I've learned a lot of stuff anyway. So
I mean, that's like a nice positive way. Like you just look at it like, I learned a lot, I experienced a lot.
yeah.
Haven't changed in a way that I maybe hate or like cause other people to hate me, possibly. But
It's quite hard to call, I think, for me.
right. People.
I think I've stayed true to myself.
Kawaii.
I think maybe the biggest change was I've become like much more patient in some ways and much more impatient in other ways. Like if people don't understand something, but they're actually trying, I've got all the time in the world. But if people are just messing around, I'm like, no, this is not how we go.
Meetings every month.
Let's not bring up ALT meetings. But that's a very good example.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Karl.
I think like I'm true to myself. No, but there were points in time when I started and I was like, yo, let's be nice to everybody. Let's like see how things are, like no, like maybe it's not what it seems, like it must be better.
Yo, where's this positive Karl?
So
I never met this Karl.
I'm saying, trust the instincts. Like, don't lose the instincts to like courtesy or politeness. Like, treat everybody well, but definitely don't be blind to certain things.
Right.
If it looks like it, it might be it. If it's not your kind of thing, avoid it.
Right. That's true.
Like, you're really important. Like, take care of yourself first.
Yeah, most
Yeah, that's
definitely.
good.
Like, don't try to push yourself into doing certain things or so because you feel like you need to conform or make other people happy. So like, for example, a good example, like when I just came here, I think people went through the same thing when she just came here, like the first couple of months or whatever. You feel like you need to go out and interact with, like the two of us are introverts,
Yeah.
but like you just come here, it's like, I feel
Wait,
like
what's that word you just said?
feel like you need to go out and interact. Like if people invite us, it's like, yo, I have to go. 'Cause if I don't go, people might stop inviting me to things. I might become an outcast or something, right? And then at some point, it's like, no, I don't need to do this. I can just be myself. People who appreciate me being myself will still get along with me, but I don't have to force myself to go to any and everything to try and make others happy and hope that I am happy in the end, because that did not make me happy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
Face, right?
Minor technical difficulty.
We have, right? It is really pinchable.
My other camera died, so I'm using my
Can you
cell phone
restart
now.
that? Because I'm being pinching my face in the back.
Okay, sorry about that. Will, you were saying about living in another country does not mean you have to change who you
Yeah.
are as a person necessarily.
Yeah, I think a lot is made about Japan being this whole other planet where nothing makes sense. And granted, it's different, but it's, you know, mostly just full of humans, and you can just carry on being the same human you were before.
Yeah,
To a
but
certain
it
extent.
depends. It depends on like your own experience, where you are and who you're around, and if you have like a support system. Because I don't think a lot of people realize they're changing is when it starts to affect them negatively. Like,
This is true.
it's gone too far. I didn't know this was happening. How do I like get back to a place where I'm comfortable and confident? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people have anxieties, have insecurities. You come to a place where everything is new, and the people aren't like Japanese culture is amazing, but they're not the most. It's not the easiest to fall into a flow or feel like you belong here. And there is a constant reminder that you're from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And there are other things they're like, it's like one of those things when they ask for explanations and they tell you like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. Why do you guys do this? Because we're Japanese. Oh my, yo, that's a really interesting, like what happened? Oh, this is Japan. And they're like, oh yeah, but I understand how it makes sense to you, like you're claiming your culture. But to somebody who's not from the culture, it's not the most inviting feeling.
But it's interesting you say that, because like even like sometimes I reach a point where somebody asks me a question, why does this? Because Japan. It's like, why do they have so much paperwork? Why is it so difficult to get internet? Why aren't there garbage? Because it's Japan.
But the thing is, like, it's cool if
Yeah.
you're using shorthand if you already like understand a bit about the culture and you don't feel like you're being pushed out or pushed away or like slightly rejected or very much rejected. But if you're new and you don't have like a handle on things, then a lot of the small stuff like people like cashiers trembling when they come towards them. Or like, and it's not necessarily, it's not like inherently negative, but like old people have crossed the street when I just came here. Like no, they're telling me hello and they're greeting me. I don't know if it's like they can tell like they've seen you around, or they can, maybe you have changed, like maybe you're more comfortable, maybe you look more relaxed. But when I literally came here my very first week, old people would cross to the other side of the street when they saw me coming. I have like moms like grab their children out of supermarket aisles.
I mean, to be fair, you have
Like
a
trembling
when you're
cashier.
serious, you have a little
No,
scary
it's not
face.
just me. And that's another thing, like I'm not sure, don't.
That was me.
Exactly right.
That was
You see
savage.
comedy serious?
No, but I'm not. Sometimes I'm just walking down the street.
I guess like I know.
Yeah, so and it's not like and I don't think it's like necessarily like a experience that has to do with who I am. I know people are like from a bunch of different countries, different ages, different like backgrounds, and they've said the same thing. It's just like, oh, you're a foreigner, and for some reason there's a strange sense of panic, like they don't know what to do. It's almost like Japanese people themselves sometimes. Like they feel like it interrupted their reality. Oh my God, a foreigner in my town wall. but we're so small. What should I do? Cross the street.
So this is obviously from a point of view where you don't live in Tokyo or something.
No, yeah, in Tokyo, Kyoto, no matter about the island. Like Hiroshima, please. Okinawa, fine. But if you go to like a more and if you go to a really country place, they seem a lot more friendly and curious and interesting. But if you go to like a suburb or someplace in the middle, just like there's this weird sense of panic. You guys have never felt that, like
I don't know. So like
outside culture panic.
For me personally, living in, I call Omra suburb. Some people call it rural. I don't think it's rural because
No, it's not rural.
rural is like
It's
one
suburban.
convenience store for miles.
Yeah.
One of the things I have liked about living here, and like I was a bit panicky at first being put into a suburban area, but one of the things I like is when I'd walk to work in the mornings, there are certain people that I'd see and I'd greet them and they'd greet me back. And then like as time carries on, like I've had this group of like Oji-chans and Oba-chans who do their morning exercises every morning. And there was a stint where I was busy with school visits and other stuff where I didn't walk there in the morning.
Yeah.
And there was like a couple weeks later, and then when they saw me, they're like, "Oh, we thought you left or something. We're so worried. We didn't see you for a long time." And then a lot of them like actually started talking to me and stuff because they were like so worried, and they started asking me these questions about my country and stuff like that. And if I'm enjoying my stay here. And I like all of that, and I feel like if I was in a bigger city, I would not get that.
No, I'm not saying like it's a single experience. Like I have a lot of like when it was really cool, like they bring stuff to me, and the teachers were always warm and friendly. I'm just saying the experience is going to be varied, and if you're not prepared for it, or if you don't know how to like process it, it might start like affecting how you perceive the country, or how you perceive yourself, or like how willing you are to open up to other people.
Right.
Because there is a sense of, like I've never met anybody who just feels, yeah, they came here, everything's going well, everything is flow. Like every place you go to, there's going to be that adjustment period. So like maybe prepare yourself for that. You might not have it, but just in case, like don't shut yourself down to protect yourself from bad experiences. Just kind of like process the bad experiences and open yourself up for like the good ones as well.
Right, definitely.
People will have a lot of preconceptions about who you are because you're foreign.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's...
they'll just treat you that way off the bat without
Yeah.
even like talking to you first or like
And
warming
that's
up to you.
that's actually a thing I found quite rewarding, is particularly at work, is actually challenging people's preconceptions and kind of talking your way into stuff that you're not sort of conventionally meant to do as a foreigner in school. But it's entirely possible. You just have to kind of
Right. You just have to
almost embrace the fact that you stand out, I think.
Yeah. No, yeah.
in certain ways, yeah.
That's
Most
why you're
definitely.
here, to be honest. Like you're here
You're here
because
because-
Yeah, we're here because we're meant to stand out.
Yeah, we're not here to be Japanese. Like that'd be kind of like let's bring over some Japanese people.
Plus it's nice, like it's really good. The best part is like when you're leaving and you're just like, oh yeah, I want to come to Japan, or you made friends and they're like, oh, I really want to come to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And like you can tell they might never get there.
Right.
Because it's far and that's expensive. But like you can tell that at least have some genuine curiosity.
Yeah, most definitely. What have you found that has really helped you to maintain your mental sanity during your duration on this program? Because, like for me personally,
Korea.
Korea helps. Korea helps you. That's my refresh. That's my refresh. But like, so I guess I'll start like me saying something for me. For me, after near the end of my third year, especially, I really started to feel like worn down and like really done with this thing, and like in an ideal world I would have been finished
But Mark,
then.
you avoid all the most extreme situations that would compromise your sanity on purpose.
No. Being here affects my sanity. that
This
sounds
is
bad.
very positive.
The reason the reason
Welcome
I
to
say
the
that,
JET program.
Yeah, come here. It's super fun.
For your sanity.
Woohoo!
the reason I say that is because I feel like the more time I spend here is less time that I have working towards my career, and just because of how much I think about many things and I really hate feeling like I waste time, all of that time feels like kind of wasted time for me. Like I enjoy my students, I love my students, and I've had a lot of great experiences here. But spending all this time doing this thing that I don't necessarily love, that is not my future career choice, it feels like wasted time. That affects me a lot, right? And then I also worry about whether I'm going to have to go back to Jamaica, trying to go to another country, or like try to find something else in Japan. Like there are many things going on. And like my third year, when my closest set of junior high kids graduated, and also some of the teachers that I was closest to and built a really good relationship with over 3 years also got transferred. Like a lot of things felt like it was falling apart for me. And one of the things that really helped me personally at that time was around that time that I really started to get closer to Karl and Tomo. And we'd start going to gym and like eating afterwards, sometimes going for drinks and stuff like that. And like, it's interesting because...
Yeah, friends of that.
It's interesting because like even after that, I started to expand a little more with like, so like my first year I'd like go to random things, but like I wasn't necessarily close to anybody. I just like have these interactions.
Koreans.
But no, in Omura, in Omura. But
Beat you after this.
but like starting from that part where I like started going like Karl and Tomo to gym and stuff, I would also like sometimes see Will or Gordon when we go to like bars and stuff, and like we'd have really chill chats. Like sometimes I'd like hang out with people or like have conversations about things.
I don't think it's about nature.
Guys,
I
just
know,
let
right?
him get his
So bad.
answer out.
But to summarize it, like just that helped me a lot mentally. Sure, Korea has helped me, right? But having like that group of people that I know that I could just like hang out with sometimes, talk about things and like not feel like I have to worry about them like saying things I say to them to everybody else and like spreading a bunch of crap about me or whatever, which happens sadly, you know, because people with people. I didn't have to think about those things, worry about those things. I could discuss concerns on my mind, and like it helped me to like stabilize myself a lot. So what have you found has helped you to maintain your mental sanity and keep pushing through to go for how many odd years? You went 5 years, 2, 3, right? What has helped you? Let's start from, should we go you last, first? Let's start from you, Karl.
Yo, the same thing you said still.
That was succinct.
That's the most succinct answer he's given.
Yeah.
Damn.
Friends of.
Yeah.
Friends have helped.
Just ditto again.
So everybody's just friends.
Well, except for me, because again, being alone is great. Having my own space in my apartment and having my apartment nice and like tidy or organized or whatever, just being able to be comfortable there. Because like as I said, being at school all day and being really tired, sometimes I don't want to go out and interact again, because talking after a whole day of talking isn't exactly like a break.
Yeah, no, it's just more tiring.
Yeah.
Like even this past 3-day week, so like for the past couple of weekends, I've had like either Kyoto or like hanging out with you and like Gordon or like other things, other like engagements, things that I've had to do. And like this past 3-day weekend, I literally just stayed home for the 3 days. And like I went to school this morning for the first time in a long time, and I felt just good. I felt good.
I did judo for a little bit, and that was amazing. And like now I'm at a boxing gym, and it's easier to know the people in the community if you're actually doing something with them. And you guys are cuter, so you're probably
I do a lot of random stuff.
exactly
Yeah,
like
that's
judo and band practice. And also traveling. But yeah, like traveling is amazing. And like even solo trips, like when I came here, I was really nervous. Even though I'm like old as sin, but I was like, still nervous about like taking a train too far. And I used to like bug me. I'm like, oh shit, like you're not young. Like just get on a goddamn train. So when I finally did, I was like, you guys should have done this like a month ago. Like solo trips by yourself, travel, join things in the community. If you like something, it feels right, sign up for it. If you don't like it, stop doing it. Find something else that feels right.
That's true, yeah. Like, just getting out, having something that's like outside and separate from work or like your ALT community or something can also really help. Because like having friends and stuff is like awesome, and being friends with ALTs is great. But sometimes you need to like break away so you're not talking about work or you're not thinking about school, and like you can just have your own time.
Right, plus the rant, I'm not going to rant. But from what I've known, a lot of ALT communities are really insular. But then it kind of defeats the purpose of being like a whole new culture and a whole new country, like all these millions of people who are just out there waiting for you to meet them.
Yeah.
So I wish I had broken free of that ALT like chokehold that I said earlier. And like just like ran all over Japan, just like
So you gone to? Ran all over Japan.
yeah. So don't get too like short-sighted when it comes to all the things that are out there for you to do. And you don't need like other foreigners are fantastic. You don't need them. They're great to be around and they can really benefit you and they can like support and help you, but yeah, you're in Japan. Like see Japan, experience new things, try things on your own.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess I might have to interrupt and answer the other bit because I think my general demeanour means that doing that stuff is not really an issue for me. It's what I do naturally.
Yeah.
I'm always running off on trips. I'm always signing up for endless stupid stuff. And the things that have there's a lot of like stuff that I've realised that has made life easier, rather than like forcing myself to do things or arranging sort of space for myself. It's more down to like realisation that has made life easier for me. And there was definitely a stretch where I was thinking like, what am I doing? This is mental. Like what? Where am I? I don't know what I have no idea what's happening here. Like this is insane. And the two things I realised, one of them, teaching is a performance. You're performing. And so if you're up there kind of doing stupid faces and wacky gestures, it's entirely performance. That's not actually sort of you. And I find it very easy to sort of step in and out of that. Once I worked out that actually it is all performance, I'm not going insane. And this is how teaching works for me. I'm going to step in and become this outrageous character, and then cut it off the minute the lesson's done, kind of thing.
Having seen him in class, he's actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the teacher will say something as like a scenario, and he'll like act it out or just do something really ridiculous.
Yeah, and the whole thing is a performance, and that sort of helped me a lot because I just sort of thought if I was losing my grip on reality. The other bit, which definitely helped me, it took me a while to realise it, but it was really good when I did, is that everyone thinks exactly the same thing. I'm pretty sure we've all had moments when you're sat there going like, what am I doing? This is just ridiculous.
Doing that right now.
Yeah. some more than others, but like, it's honestly, it's not that there's something wrong with you, it's not that there's something wrong with your work environment, it's not the country you're in, it's just completely natural for everybody to feel like that at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I realised this, it was just from talking to other ALTs and things, and it made me feel much more okay about it because everyone's a little bit lost. I mean, I think it's adulthood really. Like there are bits like that, and that's totally fine.
Right.
And don't worry about it because it'll pass.
I used to like when I just came here, the same thing you said. I was like overthinking lots of things, and like I don't know. I think I just like tried to like look for like every moment had to be a genuine moment, and everything had to be meaningful.
Instagrammable.
Everything should come from somebody's like core values, and that's bullshit. Like if you're at a job and you're doing your job well, like keep it with respect, entertain kids, like deliver the material, and then like give some space between that person you are at work and the person you are when you're doing other things or when you're just by yourself. Like I think there's no to like that kind of space between those two things.
But to realise that there should be that space as well.
That space is healthy.
Like,
that space is very healthy.
What has been the most embarrassing / dummy, like absolute dummy, like utter smash thing that you've done while you've been here? And how did you handle it when you found out that maybe it was not very okay for you to do that?
Me and another ALT that I was really chill, good friends with, we used to talk about like our weekends at work, because they didn't really understand like that secret English that all Japanese teachers have, that they don't use until like 6 months later, and they ask that question and they're like, I don't understand. So guys, if that's someone a really, really good weekend, don't talk about this at work.
Your teachers understand English.
Wait, I got the dummy things that we do. I've got it.
We do?
We are really loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
On trains and in restaurants and
Yeah,
stuff in
Just
groups.
everywhere.
Don't stop doing that.
I'm
We
more
need to
conscious
stop.
about it than I used to be, even though I still get loud.
But it's like painful.
But I'm
when we're in
a lot more
restaurants.
conscious about it than I
Yeah,
used to.
some aren't.
It's
And you'll
like-
be sitting in a restaurant and then there's just like squealing or something, and people are looking at your table and like it's just so embarrassing.
So like in restaurants and like on the train and stuff, I'm definitely way more aware about it. Like
Yeah.
if we're in a room like this and whatever, then I'm less aware about it.
Mm.
But in certain environments, I'm so much more aware. Like
Yeah.
it's like my inner Japanese person is like screaming, like, yo, this is not cool.
Yeah.
This is not cool.
Although sometimes when you walk into a restaurant, you're like, oh, I wonder where everyone's sat. Oh, there, I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's like you stand out so much from volume.
I do that. I do that all the time.
So painful.
Find the other foreigners. I'm not just the LTs, find any foreigner.
Yeah.
And it's like, just have to perk your ears once. You're like, yep.
Oh, they're over there.
It's like a Super Bowl. Alright.
Embarrassing stuff.
There's nothing, I guess, like nothing that's too.
There's a
Oh,
certain.
no, I'm not sharing that video, but just say
There's a
At
certain.
work,
like,
no.
There's a
Just
certain
like,
base level of like clowning around that's kind of almost expected from us, I think.
no, that's it.
Yo, me and my kids just said, yo, there's this one kid who's like a first year. Like, I don't know if he looks at me as like some kind of father or something. Every time he sees me, like, comes on like, this that junior high kid, yo. Like, not elementary. This kid, like, come on, just
No.
like jump onto me.
Yeah, no,
like,
some
be
old
clinging
junior high
onto me.
kids still do that playing my hair thing. Like I took a picture today, I want them to like climb up on the little box and have so they can reach the blackboard and was just rubbing my hands on.
I'd actually want to see
But
that.
in first year, like that's another thing. Like in my first year, like I said, I wasn't used to all this stuff, so I used to take a lot of the stuff. Like I used to rub it the wrong way. Like you like pull out the Solange, don't touch my hair. But
So like I think one important
what's
thing
honest, also the
is-
kids don't have the same perceptions you have.
No,
And
definitely.
they're just kind of like kind of comfortable and they want to play in the hair.
Yeah, like definitely. So like I think one important thing is like when you just come in your first year, there may be many things that feel kind of embarrassing to you because you still feel like you're still getting used to environments and like what's okay to, what's not okay to, what's you're expected to do.
Yeah.
And like there are just going to be a lot of small things that feel kind of embarrassing in the moment, but then as time goes on, you look back and it's like, oh, that wasn't too bad. Like you learn from it, you adapted, you adjusted, and you move on.
Again, like I think we've said it before, but there's a certain expectation from all our colleagues that they sort of know that we're probably not going to get it right 100% of the time, especially at the beginning. So, you know, there's actually not too much of the kind of, whoa, they spelled a word wrong on the blackboard, so I'm going to deport them. It just happens. Use American spelling.
No, oh yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah,
I
hate
have
US
one
spelling.
piece of advice if you're coming to Japan.
Well, like, don't all of us use like the British spelling? Do they use that in New
I use
Zealand?
both.
We use British.
I mean,
British.
yeah.
No, I was just saying that's like in our home countries,
Yeah.
we all use that thing. But like we're all here like, we use
probably-
American spelling.
We've all probably spelled colour wrong at some point in class.
C-O-L-O-R.
And then the kids correct you, which is really funny.
Yeah.
So like I explained to them or whatever, but it's like, you know, they expect you to teach the American spelling or
Yeah.
something. So like, nah.
But some of the teachers are really cool and actually teach them both.
They do. Like I've generally all my teachers are kind of cool like that, thankfully. I don't have any teachers like so far up their own butts that they
Well,
I know.
There was a slight pause. I was like, what word is he
I
replaced
don't
that
think the
with?
teachers not do it, but it's not. It's because I want the kids to pass exams. Because on an exam in Japan, that's wrong, and they lose marks.
Yeah.
So they don't want the kids to become confused.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Oh wait, alright, this is a good thing. Like I don't mean to drive it, like I said that was the last question, but this is actually a good
It's
question.
the actual last one.
Yeah, the actual
Easter
last
egg.
one. Yeah, the Easter egg, there you go, I like that.
Yeah.
What was it like for you, like before you came here and your expectation of what the English level of the Japanese kids would be like versus after you came here and what it was actually like?
wait, can I ask this one first?
Okay.
Take all the expectations and put them in something fragile, and then throw them out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I didn't come with great expectations,
Uh-huh.
but it was lower than
You come with great
I
experience, but it was a lot lower. Will,
I would give some credit to the junior high, third grade kids. They're pretty good at listening. They've covered enough basic grammar to pretty much work out what you're saying. But anything below that, nah. I mean...
In part, it might be my fault though, because they learn like very specific structures. So if you don't speak in that structure, then they don't really understand it.
right.
That sort of thing. So now they've been here long enough, I've learned what they've learned and can kind of speak to them in ways that they understand, and that's improved.
Yeah.
You can't just come expecting that they're going to know everything, because they
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, a lot of it just comes back to the whole teaching system where like they learn English and study English for the tests,
Yeah.
not to actually use English in real life situations. So, like they might not be able to like you give them a test paper with like questions, they may be able to like answer most of them and do well.
Yeah.
But once you try talking to them to have an actual conversation,
Yeah.
you have those 1-2 kids who have a genuine interest in English and like study it and practice it. But then outside of that, it's just like, huh, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, sad, but
Yeah, don't expect too much. I mean, I think, so at second grade in junior high school, that's when they learn how to do things in the future tense.
yeah.
So this is in their 6th year of English education. They're finally learning the future tense.
Future tense.
So if that helps you gauge stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
It's
a big
not the
point
student's
is,
fault though.
yeah, it's
no,
not their fault.
that's just what the book is.
It's just what the book is. And it's also not your fault. Like, don't feel like you are
Yeah, it's
failing
not your
your kids
responsibility,
by them not being however good at English. Like, none of you are failing your kids. It's just how the system is, the syllabus they follow, the textbook they follow. Like, it's
Yeah.
not the ALT's fault.
And then depending on where you
necessarily.
end up, because a lot of teachers who came from like a bigger city, and some of the children will be a lot better at English. And sadly enough, a lot of it because they go to ACAWs and
Yeah.
come on.
Cram school and so.
So yeah,
I've realised the peak achievement that you could really get as an ALT is to make kids interested enough in English that they ask their parents to go to ACAWA. Then they'll get good. That, I think, is like, especially the little kids, if they go home and they're raging about it and the kid's like, do you want to do English lessons in your spare time? And they go, yes! That is like, I think, the biggest win for us. Slightly bad as it sounds, but
We've said so many bad things.
It's fine. I mean,
And
you
then-
edit it.
But
So
no, but it's
nice
also
to
important
positive.
for people to know that the JET program or just living in Japan isn't all roses and rainbows, right? Like, there are going to be these challenging things.
But there are unicorns.
Yo, come on, these people have the internet. Nobody's that naive.
Some people might. Some people might.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I don't
possible.
know. Like, we've met people on this program.
Yeah, that hit them hard, bro.
But there are awesome times you get awesome things out of it.
People with that
Yeah.
positivity
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
that optimism.
Don't let it scare you away.
People with that
We've
save.
all developed in great ways. We're just talking about the negative sides that you should be prepared for,
No, yeah.
that you might not expect.
yeah, I think it's probably more important to be at least a little bit braced for it not to be the
Yeah.
perfect paradise dream that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Plus, that thing that ALTs forget that they're like an amazing asset.
Mm.
And the saddest way you know this is when you're not coming to school and you're like, oh yeah, the teacher that couldn't come to school, the teacher will just do the lesson by themselves. Nah. Nope, there was no English class.
Yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
happens. Like, my
Like
sixth
you're
grade
necessarily
kids.
part of you're kind of you're an important part of the system.
My 6th grade kids, like right now the teacher has built up enough confidence to do classes on his own. It's also kind of required him to have more English time now with the new syllabus. But anytime he has to do class by himself, my 6th grade kids look at him and be like, your pronunciation isn't good. You are not Mark Sensei. Where is Mark Sensei? I was like, it's just because they're so trolly.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't take it personally or anything, but every time you come into him, it's like, Mark Sensei, you know, the kids just, every time you're not there, they're asking where you are and telling me my pronunciation isn't good.
Plus, also Japanese teachers are like ridiculously busy. So
Yeah.
having somebody who is speaking to them and communicating to them and working with them, it forms like some kind of like access point that they would not have on their own time because they don't have any time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
There's
That's
a-
difficult.
It certainly helps if you can kind of take a bit of workload off
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. All right. Final thing. Any last like personal information or like advice or any big takeaways that you'd like to pass on to anybody who's coming over here as an LT or on jet or whatever they may come over here on to live in Japan and stuff? Any big takeaways, like one sage piece of advice you'd like to pass on to your next minion?
Minion.
Who first?
Oh,
You have to point.
Let's start from you, Will. You have a look
Alright.
in your eyes.
All right. I guess I have like 3 very short points.
Okay, I'm going to trust you on this very short thing.
2, I've already mentioned. 1, teaching's a performance.
Okay.
2, everyone gets a bit lost and confused. It's fine, it's okay, it's normal.
Okay.
3, enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Okay.
It's fun, it's brilliant, it's mad and infuriating and lovely and sort of everything. So just embrace it.
I think it's like mad, infuriating, lovely. That's Will's recipe for lovely. Okay, people.
I'd say enjoy being lost and confused at the start, because even though it's kind of scary or not so fun at the time, when you look back on it, you'll be like, I remember when like I didn't know how to get to the supermarket or any of that stuff. And that's kind of fun to look back on and be open to new experiences. Like if there's something that you have the opportunity to do that you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll really fit in or whatever, just go out and at least try it. And yeah, that's, I guess, my big thing. Because I've done that more over in my second year and have had a way better time than I did in my first year.
Right. Okay. Karl.
Last
The
year.
veteran.
The vet.
You're
Unicorn.
expecting something so
Oldest man on earth.
You're not the
Earth.
oldest. There are literally millions of people.
Answer. God, this is such uplifting advice. But to be honest, this only came to me my last year, so it's new to me. But like, leave a lot more space for good things, and leave a lot less space for bad things in your life. That's it.
Oh, that's something
That was-
like, that's pretty sagely.
Yeah, that is sage.
Nice.
To be honest,
See
I'm just-
age shining through right there.
And that's something, that's not even just
Well, I
for
just
Japan.
learned
That's
this. This is
like,
new to me. I'm still working on it.
Like-
this
like
is
it's
something that you
going
can
well.
take beyond Japan.
If anyone,
Your life
yeah.
has changed.
if anyone is watching this and is not coming on the JET program,
Come on, Jeffrey.
Just, no, not that.
I mean-
I'll use that advice right now.
just what he said.
Just what he said.
What did he say?
I'm so glad you laughed.
Space.
Alright, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to have the time to do this discussion thing with you. Deeply appreciate it. I wanted to do it for years, but I'm lazy. Lazy. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity as well.
And you needed the right people for it.
I needed the right people for it. And like,
But he ended up with us.
But we were free.
Wow.
And very, very cheap.
The fudge.
Well, you were.
Like, revert to the freeness.
Alright, good stuff. So that about wraps up this thing, this discussion. Hopefully you guys learned some good advice, some good takeaways from. I don't know, I'm going to have to try and cut this down somehow. Like,
Episodes.
Just cut out everything I say, and then you'll be
Well,
pretty good.
just the part where somebody
you go.
says you're in love and it reacts. That's it. That's the whole video. That's the whole video.
Until next time.
And the bit about chin skin.
See you around.
He's just not talking. He's on your face.
I bet if we deep fried
You
your
are
head,
so stretchy.
your head would be so crispy if we deep fried it.
Right?
I maybe need to sit a bit closer.
You're
to
so skinny though. Why do that?
Most.
Can like fold it over. Or I'll be social media.
Have you?
What
You've
the-
pinched my face, right?
These are
Have
going
you?
in the bloopers, right?
Yeah, right.
These are gonna be no. Oh, you're
Oh
recording.
shit, you made it. You, what's wrong with you?